Hey everyone, so now we are moving on to polynomials. So we're done with quadratics. We will have our quiz on complex numbers coming up though, so be ready for that. Alright, so here's another SAT problem. Pause the video and try it. So we have our two functions, f and g, and we're actually going to get a little more into that today. So notice this one's f, the blue. So that's this one. So x squared, 8x squared minus 2. So that makes sense. It's upward facing. And then we have our red one. I'll go over that one in red. And that's our downward facing one. G of x, negative 8x squared plus 2. The graph of f and g intersect at what point? So what's the value of k? So where are they actually intersecting, right? So 8x squared minus 2, there's a couple ways to do this. Where are they equal? So you could do it this way. I think this is the easy way. So I just set them equal, and then I'm going to solve. So I'm going to add 8x squared. So 16x squared minus 2 equals 2. Add 2. 16x squared equals 4. Divide by 16. X squared equals 0.25. That's a quarter. The square root. So the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. And it wants the positive answer, right? The other thing you could do is, since those are zeros, you could just set them each equal to 0. If you did 8x squared minus 2 equals 0, you get the same answer. So there's a few ways to do this. Okay, what is a function? I actually wrote this wrong, so I'm going to have to add to it. A function is a mapping of a domain to a range. X is the domain and y is the range. And then I forgot to include every x maps to exactly one y. Right. So every x maps to exactly one y. Think of it like I'm buying things in price, right? If I buy 3 cans of soda at Cumbies, it should be the same price as if Jack went in and bought 3 of the same sodas. It should be the same price, right? Now I could buy 3 sodas and he could buy like 3 pieces of pizza and maybe it's the same. So what we get could be the same, but if we get the same exact thing, we should get the same price, right? If I got 3 sodas and he got 3 sodas, I shouldn't be paying $2 and he paid $2.50. That's not fair, right? All right, polynomial. So a polynomial is a function where x is being raised to a whole number, right? So technically a quadratic is a polynomial, but we usually think of things like y equals x, so x squared plus 3x minus 1. That's a polynomial. But usually in this unit, it's more like higher power. So x to the 5th minus 4x to the 4th plus 7x cubed plus 8x squared minus 2x plus 17. Right? That's a polynomial. All the x's are being raised to a whole number, right? So no negatives. That's the key there, right? No negative exponents. No negatives and no fractions. No negatives and no fractions. That's a whole different beast, okay? Okay, perform the indicated operation. So, remember, we already did this with the complex numbers, right? So, what is that operation between my two polynomials? Plus. Plus means add. Plus means add. I know it seems silly, but kids always try to multiply out. We're not doing that. We're just adding, right? So combine your like terms. So pause and do number 1 and 2. So we got the 5x squared. 6x squared gives us 11x squared. And then we have 3x and negative 7x. That gives us negative 4x. -2 and -9 gives us -11, and that is our answer. Okay, now this one, I have x to the 4th, but nothing to go with it, so I'm just going to write x to the 4th. Then I have x cubed and x cubed. That gives me a 2x cubed. That's not supposed to be squared. That's supposed to be cubed. All right, and then I have -8x squared, which isn't going to go with anything. So it's just chilling. I'm going to go back to a different color now. 7x goes with -3x. So that's plus 4x. And those last two, -2 minus 4, gives me -6. And that is my answer. If you have highlighters, I really like highlighting. I think it's helpful. Okay, function notation. So we've seen this. This was actually in the do now. Function notation is instead of an equation being a y equals, we replace it with f of x. And f parentheses x parentheses f of x. Right? Or g of x or h of x or m of x. It doesn't really matter. And we do that to, it makes things a little easier. So we can differentiate. So in the do now, for instance, we had two parabolas. It's harder to differentiate between them when they're both y equals. So we could say, oh, where's g, where's f? Like giving them an actual name is just a little easier. So just putting f of x equals, x squared minus 7x plus 8. We could have g of x equals -x cubed plus 4. Right? There's lots of ways to write these. Right? And the inside is the variable. Right? That inside g of x, that means that there are x's in the problem. I could do something like h of n, where I have 3n squared minus 4n plus 11. Right? That n means n is my variable. So you can use any letter you want. Whatever the variable is what goes inside. So this is the function h with respect to n, where n is my variable. Okay, so one of the things we do is they identify f and g. So there's my f, and there's my g, and then they're just like, oh, well, f plus g. So we're adding them together. It's just kind of a different type of notation. So add your f of x and your g of x. What do you get? And then pause. See if you can figure out number 4. So we have our 3x squared minus 7x plus 4 and -5x squared plus 11. So now if you want to put parentheses in to kind of show, okay, that's my f, this is my g, you can, you don't have to. All right, so I got 3x squared and -5x squared gives me -2x squared. My 7x doesn't do anything, and then 4 and 11 gives me 15. So that is the sum of those two functions. Now, a little harder. Notice we have that 5. What's 5 in f of x doing? Remember, when things are touching, it means times, right? Look up at the top. 5x means 5 times x, right? We know that. So 5f of x means 5 times f of x. And then 4 times g of x. So what we're going to do is we're going to distribute and then combine like terms. So 15x squared minus 35x plus 20. And then distribute the 4. -20x squared plus 44. Let's see, I got 15 and -20 gives me -5x squared minus 35x. And then we got the 20 and the 44, so plus 64. And that is our final answer. Okay, same idea, but now we're subtracting. Remember when we did complex numbers, I do recommend putting a 1 in front of the minus and distributing. I would say distribute. I think it's easier. I think you make less mistakes. So pause the video and do these two. So I'm going to make that minus x squared plus 7x minus 2. Honestly, there's just so many little errors kids make. So that gives me 7x squared. 3 and 7 gives me 10x. And then minus 6. So this next one, just rewrite the first, nothing in front of the parentheses. And then I'm going to distribute that negative to everything. So it just goes through and it switches everyone's sign. So negative 5x to the 8th minus 4x7 plus 2x cubed plus 8x minus 1. All right, let's see. I'm gonna start by looking for my highest power. So there's my highest power. There's only one of them. And then negative 4x to the 7th, only one of them. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll cross off when it's this big. The next one is to the 4th, 7x to the 4th. And then 2x cubed. Not a lot of stuff combining. Minus 8x squared. Ooh, now we have our 3x and our 8x. That gives us 11x minus 3. So not a lot of stuff combined there. Okay, same idea, but now it's subtraction. So we have our f, we have our g. What would f minus g be? And then what would 2f minus 3g equal? So pause and try it on your own. So f is negative 8x cubed plus 17x squared plus 4x, and I'm going to subtract off 7x to the 5th plus 11x cubed minus 9x. So now I'm going to distribute that negative to into the parentheses. That's important. The first one stays the same. So we got minus 7x to the 5th minus 11x cubed plus 9x. All right, let's see. So I got negative 7x to the 5th. Done with you. And then I got those cubes that do go together. Negative 19x cubed. The 17x squared is by itself. And then the 4 and the 9 gives us 13x. Done. All right, and then number 8. So again, we're going to multiply, right? So 2 times negative 8x cubed plus 17x squared plus 4x minus 3 times 7x to the 5th plus 11x cubed minus 9x. So we're going to distribute both of them this time and then combine like terms. So negative 16x cubed, 34x squared, and 8x, minus 21x to the 5th, minus 33x cubed, plus 27x. Oof, out of space. All right, I'm going to go up top, because I can't write below. All right, so I got, I'll write it right here, negative 21x to the 5th. And it's standard form to write it biggest to smallest. That's why I keep doing that. I've got 2x cubed, so that gives me negative 49x cubed. And then the 34x squared is by itself. And then I have 8x and 27x, which is 35x. That's it. Okay, so now we're going to multiply. Right? Again, nothing new here. Just distribute. There's only one set of parentheses, so distribute and go through. What do you get? All right, so we multiply our coefficients, and when we multiply, we add our exponents. So 20x to the 4th minus 28x cubed plus 8x squared. That's it. And then this one, negative 2x to the 5th, we're adding. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 10x to the 4th, minus 14x cubed, plus 4x squared, plus 18x. And we are finished. Okay, double distribute, but now it's that same thing. Again, nothing new in this lesson. There's very little new stuff, right? It's just practicing with stuff that's a little different from what we've done in the past. So I want you to double distribute, but watch your exponents. This one's going to look a little different than what we've seen in the past. So remember, the way I've taught this is I take my first term, and that has to multiply 5x to the 6th minus 7. And then I have my minus 3 that also has to multiply 5x to the 6th minus 7, right? So first we multiply this times the whole thing, and then we multiply the negative 3 times the whole thing. So pause and try this if you haven't. So I get 10x to the 11th minus 14x to the 5th minus 15x to the 6th plus 21. Now, in the past, the middle two combined together. Can we combine the middle two together? We can't. Why? They are not like terms. They have different exponents. The only thing I would do here is I'm not a fan of the order. We like our polynomials to go in order of biggest exponent to smallest exponent. So I'm going to switch the order of the 5 and the 6, just so that it goes biggest to smallest, because that is standard form. Remember, a squared is times itself. So 5x to the 4th minus 3 times 5x to the 4th minus 3. So 5x to the 4th times 5x to the 4th minus 3, and then minus 3. My 5s are turning into s's, I'm sorry. Distribute 25, x to the 8th minus 15x to the 4th minus 15x to the 4th plus 9. Watch that distributing. Now, did the middle two combine like this time? They do. Did they cancel? They do not cancel. Stop trying to cancel stuff that doesn't cancel. A negative and a negative stays negative. 25x to the 8th minus 30x to the 4th plus 9. Those add together. All right, last one. Again, same process, nothing new. This is just again, that different notation where here's f and g, figure out what you get. All right, so multiplying, so we have 3x squared plus 22 times negative 7x to the 5th minus 4x. Right. So pause and try this. So I've got my 3x squared times negative 7x to the 5th minus 4x, and then we got our 22. So we get negative 21 x to the 7th. Remember, add your exponents. 12x to the 3rd. 7 times 22. Let's see, 14, carry the 1, 154. X to the 5th. And then 88x. And then again, I don't really like the order, so I'm going to switch the x cubed and the x to the 5th. Just to avoid having, I like having them in order. So minus 154x to the 5th, minus 12x cubed, minus 88x. So pay attention to the directions on a quiz. I would say write your answer in standard form. If it says in standard form, you have to switch it. It's not an option. All right, so squaring f of x. So that's 3x squared plus 22 squared. So that's 3x squared plus 22 times 3x squared plus 22. That's 3x squared times 3x squared plus 22. And 22 times 3x squared plus 22. Again, start with that, multiply the second parentheses, and then your 22. So add our exponents, so 4, 66x squared, 66x squared. Ooh, I have no idea, I don't have a calculator. 22 times 22. Let's see, 4, 4, 0, 4, 4. 484. Combine those middle two, because they're both x squareds. 132. And we are finished. And that's the lesson. Again, it's nothing overly hard. It's just kind of some new notation and practice with stuff that we haven't quite done before.